I don't want to take care of you, so live here. With those words, I felt the door close behind me. I heard the sound of the lock turning, and a bad feeling made me panic. Steve? Hey, you're there, right? Steve? Though I called out in anxiety, there was no response. In the silent space, my panic only grew. Steve? Please, answer me. Already uneasy in the unfamiliar wheelchair, I mishandled it and tumbled out of it. Ouch! Why? How could this happen? I had to voice it out or the anxiety would crush me. Where am I, exactly? Am I just going to die here alone? Right when tears of frustration and sadness wouldn't stop. Cindy! With the sound of the door opening, I was enveloped in warmth. 3 days later, a TV show was featuring a certain store. Listening to show. Hey! Explain yourself. The door burst open, and the voice of the person I hated most in the world resounded. I am Cindy. A 32-year-old who works hard every day at a major company. Since I was young, I had a dream. Captivated by it on TV as a child, I became obsessed. Since then, I've studied hard to achieve that dream, and now I'm working hard every day to save up. Working hard is good, but don't overdo it, okay? Thanks. But working towards my dream is really fun. I guess so. I love seeing you so happy, too. That was what my husband, Steve, said to me, smitten by my dedication. He was a colleague at my company. Enamored by my hard work, Steve supported my dream after hearing about it. His persistence won me over, and we started dating. After a few years together, we got married. Both of us working at major companies meant that even allocating part of my salary to my dream savings didn't impact our lifestyle. I also had companions chasing my dream with me as well. Cindy, how's it going on your end? Going well. How about you, Mindy? Of course. Just a little more to reach our goal. My best friend, Mindy. I met Mindy in high school. Hey, don't you think our names sound similar? Do they? Yeah, the spelling's different, but they sound alike. The similarity in the pronunciation of our names was what sparked our friendship, and discovering we shared the same dream quickly solidified it. Since then, we've been supporting each other in our efforts to realize our dream someday. Before I knew it, my dream had become our dream. My monthly highlights. It's checking the bank account for my dream savings. The more the money accumulates, the closer we get to our dream, and it excites me. But one day, as I checked it, I froze. Somehow, about $5,000 had been withdrawn from the dream savings. Only 2 people knew about this bank account. Steve and Mindy. Of them, only Steve knew where the debit card was. I went straight home and confronted Steve, who was relaxing. Hey! Did you withdraw from my dream savings without asking? Just borrowed it. Borrowed? You know how hard I've been saving for this, right? Shut up. I'll pay it back eventually. Steve's unapologetic attitude nearly made my head explode with anger. Besides, isn't it ridiculous for a woman over 30 to chase dreams? What? Lately, Steve has been mocking my dream like this. Bringing up my age, saying if I have time to chase dreams, I should contribute to making myself look younger. Steve, you used to support me. And it doesn't give you the right to use my money however you want. Money is shared between husband and wife, so it should be fine. That account has money I saved since before we were married. Where did you put my debit card? I somehow managed to get the debit card back from Steve. Now, I have to hide this debit card somewhere it can't be found. Stop nagging! With that much in there, it's fine to use a little. Steve's muttering filled my head with rage. I pay for all the living expenses and rent. I don't want to hear complaints from someone who doesn't contribute a penny. There's a big difference in salary between me and Steve. I'm older and started working earlier, but even so, I've managed to keep my performance top-notch. Conversely, Steve's performance has been declining. That's because you were the one who taught me the job. I was your mentor years ago. Whose fault is it for not growing since then? You can't sell youth, So as an older woman, you have to work hard to earn. Lately, we've been fighting like this all the time. Years ago, Steve used to encourage me, saying to keep going. Maybe it started when I turned 30. Around then, he began calling me an old lady and frequently brought up my age. If I tried to argue back, Steve would sulk and ignore me for a while, so I always ended up apologizing to keep the peace. But this time, I didn't feel like apologizing. After a big fight with Steve, I called Mindy. "I'm sorry, Mindy. We promised to save together." "It's Steve's fault. Don't worry about it, Cindy." Mindy forgave me with a laugh, and I apologized again, feeling both grateful and sorry. We were so close to our goal, but now it feels further away because of Steve. I couldn't help but sigh, and it must have been audible over the phone. I could hear Mindy laughing. "You know, happiness will run away, you know? Cindy, unlike me, you're married. A little trouble is inevitable. $5,000 is not a little trouble. It was a good decision to have a separate bank account for our savings with Mindy." "Really? We'll have to be more careful with Steve from now on." "Exactly." Then we moved on to more trivial conversations. At that time, I never imagined such a thing could happen, and I believed our friendship would never break. One day, I was on my way to a sales appointment as usual. While crossing the street and reviewing the contract details in my head, a car ran a red light and headed straight for me. Distracted by my thoughts, I noticed the car too late and felt my body being thrown by the strong impact. I could hear the noise of the surrounding commotion and the car driving away. Unable to move due to pain, I listened and then lost consciousness. "Cindy! Cindy!
Mindy.
Cindy! Are you awake? Wait, I'll call the doctor now." Mindy's voice, sounding close to tears, brought me back to consciousness. I tried to open my eyes, but it was pitch dark, I couldn't see anything. I vaguely sensed Mindy bustling around. Not understanding what had happened, and unable to move my legs, I was filled with anxiety. Then, the doctor called by Mindy explained the situation to me. "I know it's a shock, but please try to stay calm. Your eyes were damaged in the accident." In short, the accident left me blind and paralyzed from the waist down. I would never be able to see again, and I was facing a lifetime in a wheelchair. "Why me? I was so close." I was plunged into the depths of despair. Now, I couldn't even chase the dream I had been so intent on pursuing. As I wallowed in sadness, Mindy stayed by my side. "Cindy, I won't give up. I'll work hard for both of us. I'll make our dream come true and give it to you as a gift. So don't give up." Honestly, I thought about just disappearing, but Mindy kept encouraging me, and I somehow managed to reconsider. Steve, hearing that I had regained consciousness, rushed over and stayed by my side throughout my hospitalization, since I couldn't see anything. He listened to my anxieties, helping me distract myself a little. I was truly grateful to both of them. But that was only at first. Mindy stopped visiting me. In my current state, I couldn't even contact Mindy. What pushed me further down was Steve's attitude. At first, Steve, who had been considerate and talked about various things, gradually spoke less and visited less often. Even when he came to the hospital room, he seemed to be busy with his mobile phone, and all I could hear was the tapping.
Steve, how's work lately?"
"It's none of your business." He would respond indifferently to any attempt at conversation. That attitude hurt me deeply, and what troubled me most was Mindy's absence. In fact, as a secure place Steve could never access, I had entrusted Mindy with the debit card for our dream savings account. I didn't want to believe it, but had Mindy stopped coming because she got hold of that debit card? And Steve, did he truly not care about me at all? These thoughts made me increasingly despondent. I spent my days in the hospital room, crying alone. As my hospital stay went on, the thought of going home filled me with anxiety. However, "It's okay. I'm here for you." Hearing Steve speak kindly again, I chose to be discharged. Then, as we drove, I noticed something was off. The hospital and our home were only a few minutes apart by car. But the trip was clearly taking too long.
"Steve, where are we going?"
There's a place I want to stop by first. I wanted to go straight home, and venturing out without my sight was daunting. Sensing my reluctance, Steve spoke in a gentle voice. The place we're going is made to be enjoyable even without sight. I thought it would be a nice distraction. It's related to your dream. My dream? The first thing that came to mind was Mindy. She had said she would work hard for both of us to make our dream come true and give it to me as a gift. I'm sorry to say this, Cindy, but Mindy betrayed you. What? Mindy? How? I asked back, my voice trembling. I found out that Mindy disappeared after getting hold of your debit card. I've been searching to get it back, but it's been difficult. That's why I've been distant in the hospital room. I'm really sorry. According to Steve, his curt behavior was because he was searching for Mindy without telling me. His fiddling with the mobile phone was him reaching out to acquaintances for any sightings. At that moment, I was too shocked to believe Mindy could betray us, and my mind went blank. I didn't notice the odd feeling I would have caught under normal circumstances. But we finally found her. Let's go together and get back at her. Okay. And I nodded in agreement. After a while, Steve's car continued towards an unknown destination. Could it be okay to come this far? As I was consumed by anxiety. We're here. The car stopped. With Steve's help, I got out of the car and felt being pushed in a wheelchair into some indoor space. Hey, Steve, where is this? It feels like there's no one around. Of course, it's an unused vacant house. Steve's presence and voice faded away. I tried to reach out for Steve, but couldn't grasp anything. Suddenly, I was overwhelmed by fear. Steve? Where are you? Behind me, I heard Steve's laughter. I don't want to take care of you, so live here. With those words, I felt the door close behind me. Then, I heard the sound of the lock turning. A bad feeling made me panic. Steve, hey, you're there, right? Steve! Though I called out in anxiety, there was no response. In the silent space, my panic only grew. Steve, please respond. Already uneasy in the unfamiliar wheelchair, I mishandled it and tumbled out of it. Ouch! Why, how could this? I had to voice it out or the anxiety would crush me. Where am I, exactly? Would I just die here, alone and unaided? Right when tears of frustration and sadness wouldn't stop. Cindy! With the sound of the door opening, I was enveloped in warmth. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Cindy. Mindy? Is that you? I could feel the arms hugging me trembling, and my right shoulder getting slightly wet. Mindy was hugging me and crying. Why was she here? What was happening? It's okay now. My questions were drowned out by Mindy's firm voice. And I was taken into Mindy's care. 3 days later, a feature on a certain store could be heard from the TV she had turned on. Listening to it. Hey! Explain yourself. The door burst open, and the voice of the person I hated most in the world resounded. Well, look who decided to show their face. Cindy, are you okay? Yes, of course. I have something I want to say, too. From his voice, Steve seemed to be quite panicked. Mindy and I were there to meet him. Why are you still alive? Because I saved her, obviously. That day, Mindy had arrived at the vacant house ahead of time and waited nearby, hidden, for us to arrive. After confirming Steve had left, she rescued me. Don't mess with me. You said you betrayed Cindy. Indeed, I did betray someone. But not Cindy. The one I betrayed was you, Steve. It turned out, right after the accident, Steve had approached Mindy, trying to start a relationship with her. Despite showing concern for me, he had made advances towards Mindy, causing her to distrust him. He was after the debit card for your dream savings that I was holding on to. And, as it turns out, he was after my savings too. Realizing Steve's scheme, Mindy thought it would be easy to refuse him on the spot, but doing so might have endangered me. Mindy pretended to go along with Steve's plan, acting as if she had betrayed me. What's that supposed to mean? Steve, apparently never suspecting he was being deceived, froze. Mindy had gained his trust by handing over an empty bank account's debit card to Steve after moving her savings to another account. She skillfully prevented Steve from checking the account, a maneuver that made me admire Mindy even more. While Steve was off guard, she bought the vacant house where he left me. If we leave her in that vacant house, she'll never be found. That way, everyone will think she just disappeared, unable to accept her reality. That was how she persuaded Steve. As a result, Steve, without any suspicion, left me in the vacant house and Mindy safely retrieved me. It's good you're simple-minded. Thanks to that, we could establish our dream, the Old Folkhouse Cafe. Yes, our dream was to run an Old Folkhouse Cafe. Mindy had renovated the purchased vacant house and it had just opened yesterday. Until a moment ago, it was being featured live on TV. The broadcast that had been on TV was from that time. Steve must have seen the live broadcast and rushed over. No way, it can't be. Me, deceived? Excuse me. As Steve was in turmoil, a group seemed to enter the cafe. Mindy whispered to me that it was the police. Apparently called by her. We need to talk. I didn't do anything. Take this as evidence, please. Thank you for your cooperation. Then, I could hear Steve being loudly taken away by the police. I thought I heard him calling for my help, but I ignored it. He's gone. Yes. The cafe became quiet once Steve was gone. Cindy, what's wrong? I'm sorry, I couldn't help but start crying. We had finally managed to open the Old Folkhouse Cafe of our dreams. We had worked so hard to create a space where everyone could relax. Yet, in this condition, I would only drag Mindy down, not just with management but in every aspect. While it might be a novelty now and attract customers, there's no guarantee they will keep coming. Thinking about it, I couldn't stop my tears. There's still hope. Maybe you can still see. I had undergone eye surgery at the time of the accident. Because of that, I was currently wearing an eye patch. However, I was told there was a high likelihood of being blind, or at the very least, having significantly reduced vision. Between my lower body being immobile, the suspicion of Mindy's betrayal, and Steve's behavior, I was mentally too frail to remove the eye patch and had been too scared to take it off. Because of that, I had convinced myself I was blind. I fulfilled the promise and made our dream come true. So, let's go to the hospital together. I nodded to Mindy's words. Then, on a day off, Mindy took me to the hospital. There, when the eye patch was removed, I could capture light. With glasses or such, we can adjust this. Mindy rejoiced as if it were her own victory. I couldn't see her face, but it made me think maybe I could try a little harder. After that, I divorced Steve. Thanks to Mindy's thorough investigation, the reason for Steve's tyrannical behavior was uncovered. He had been cheating on me with a younger colleague, who was also the very person who had hit me with her car. Both of them were arrested for their respective crimes and ordered to pay me a large sum in compensation. How dare he make my best friend suffer? I'll never forgive you. Mindy, calm down. There's nothing but hell waiting for him now. No need for you to intervene. During a TV interview, I accidentally let slip the reason I ended up in this state, including the part about being abandoned by Steve. Naturally, Steve was fired. After his release, nothing but miserable days awaited him. On my part, things were looking up. The compensation allowed me to buy good glasses. With my vision partially restored, my motivation soared. I'm still in a wheelchair, but what I can do has significantly increased. All the handicrafts in our shop are made by me, and I keep adding to them even as I handle the administrative work. The handicrafts have been well received by customers, contributing to the shop's profits. Just when I had almost forgotten about Steve's existence, as the shop was thriving. Cindy, I'm truly sorry. Steve showed up at the shop before opening time. He came to apologize deeply, but we ignored him and continued with our opening preparations. Hey, you. Me? Aren't you the guy who abandoned his wife? What do you want now? Aren't you ashamed to show your face here? A customer glared at Steve, who then left. I smiled in gratitude to the customer who had chased him away. Thank you, Chester. Not at all, glad I came early. He's a regular at the shop and was the cameraman when the TV crew came. Since the broadcast, he's continued to visit as a customer. Today, I'll also be making drinks. Please do order some. Really? I'm looking forward to it. You two are so transparent. Mindy chuckled, sensing something. I was genuinely grateful I decided to go through with the interview that day. Now, we need to make sure he never shows up here again. I know a good lawyer. Thank you. Please, I'd appreciate that. There's no time to waste on such a man anymore. I need to keep working hard for the customers who visit us. I quickly forgot about Steve and immersed myself in work. Watched over kindly by both of them. Sometime later. Is there something good happening? You seem very happy. Yes, actually, I received a letter the other day. The letter mentioned that there are people who are encouraged by seeing me work. That made me so happy, I couldn't help but beam. When you smile like that, you're truly beautiful. I like you, Cindy, just the way you are. If it's okay with you, I'd like to date you. I was taken aback by his confession. To be honest, I was attracted to him too, so I was happy. But there was my condition to consider. After I explained my situation, he said he didn't mind. However, I wanted some time to think it over, so we left it at that for the moment. I just want you to be happy. That's easy to say, but... Just make sure you won't have any regrets. Yes, thank you. Things have been going very well for me. In stark contrast, Steve ended up in debt. He managed to find a job, but it was low-paying and he was overworked, unlike before. Moreover, it seems he's being hounded by the family of his affair partner. I wondered why the family would do that, but... You got our daughter involved, you need to take responsibility, was their reasoning. Well, I'll just cheer him on from afar. It's his own doing, so I'd be troubled if he relied on me. Thanks to the lawyer working diligently, Steve couldn't reach out to me for help and seems to be suffering quite a bit. It's his own fault, Mindy muttered after seeing the results of the investigation. I agreed with her. Later, I remarried Chester. I chose to respond to his feelings, who accepted me for who I am. Mindy blessed our union, but it seems she has found someone good for herself too. Mindy could only afford to buy the vacant house, but with his help, she managed to renovate it into the old folk house cafe. They had been in a mutual but unspoken love for a while, hesitant because of the age difference. Hearing about us pushed them to decide on marriage. It's thanks to you, Cindy. It's me who should be thankful. Without you, I would have given up on life long ago. I'm really glad you were there for me. Will you keep supporting me? Of course. I finally managed to repay you. I tilted my head at her words. I was saved by you back in our school days. Really? Mindy felt isolated during middle school. She took a chance and spoke to me in high school, and we've been close ever since. You didn't ridicule my dreams and aimed for them with me. That's why I could keep going. Hearing this, I was on the verge of tears. I decided to cherish this bond